thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. First thing I want to know is for anyone who hasn't heard your music yet, how would you describe your sound in your own words?
I would say it's definitely experimental is the first word that comes to mind. It's eclectic. Um, I would like to think it's for everyone. I like to blend sounds and take inspiration from like acoustic guitar, but then also like a really hard hitting 808 and give me
Mhm.
some synths, but then give me like a little twinkly piano at the same time. And so it's definitely like across the map. So it's
Yeah,
experimental. Maybe is
yeah.
the best way
Any
to say that.
specific artists or genres that kind of helped shape your sound over the years?
I would say there's like foundational ones like Queen and Freddie Mercury
Mm,
definitely like laid the groundwork. And Fiona Apple is definitely a huge one for me. Imogen Heap is
hmm
huge. Lady Gaga. And I would say probably like in more recent time, like a lot of Caroline Polachek,
hmm.
and Mitski and Feeble Little Horse. I think if I could be like if I could like do a little Feeble Little Horse and Imogen Heap sound, that's what I would try to go for.
Yeah. What about these artists specifically stand out to you?
I think that I've just always been in love with pop music. I really love like hard hitting auto tune and the way that you can make the voice and production uh, go so far, like with like just what we have with electronic
Hmm.
music. But I think there's really something so visceral and like guttural about like a really like distorted guitar, and it's
Yeah.
just like blending those sounds together makes something even like a little more nasty, and
Hmm.
I'm trying to get in that corner. Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of your lyrics explore these themes of femininity and girlhood. How would you describe your perspective on these topics and how do they influence your writing?
I mean, I think it's changing every day and every year, and as I get older, I think that there's a lot more nuance to be had about it. I think when I was younger, I thought that I had it all figured out.
Hmm.
And I think that, going to a women's march or believing that women have rights was like the extent of how far my 14-year-old brain could think.
Hmm.
And as I got older, I started to look back and I realized that I was contributing and putting myself in so many situations that were not like that were harmful to me, but it was a very dissonant thing when I was younger. Like I'm like, no, I believe in these things, but I'm also like one of the boys. I'm not that kind of feminist. I'm not
Yeah,
that
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of.
yeah.
And I think that realizing that, and you have to forgive yourself a little bit for being
Hmm.
young and trying to acclimate to your environment. But as I got older, it really started to stick with me of like, oh, this is all connected,
Hmm.
and the way that I have been viewed, the way that I act, the way that I move through the world is through this lens that's not my own. And that made me very angry, and I think that I started to channel that through my music. I started to look at the world of like, there's me, but then there's the way that the world sees me, and then how much do I play into that.
Right.
And so I became very angry and a very angry young lady. And I think also as I've gotten older now, I'm trying to realize the nuance in like, there's sometimes things are because you're a woman and sometimes things are because you're people.
Right.
And so I think like it's always an ever changing thing for me. I feel a lot of rage, but I also am learning to feel a lot of forgiveness
Hmm.
and trying to find ways to meet people where they're at.
Yeah. It's
Because
a really
I
interesting way of looking at it.
Thank you. Yeah, because at the end of the day, I want people to try to meet me where I'm at. So
Right.
we all have to find a way to connect somehow.
Yeah, absolutely. So when people listen to your music, what specifically do you hope that they feel or connect with?
I think that when people listen to my music, I want them to find themselves and hear themselves and resonate with their own stories in my
Mm.
music. I think that there's a lot of like there's always a story behind a song that you write, but I think what's more interesting is how when as a listener how that song makes you feel about your own experiences. And so when I make music, I don't make it to say here's how I feel about this. I make it more for a listener to go, well, that's how I feel about that.
Mm.
I really want to like it's more about connection. It's about finding a like a level ground of like, here's the way I process the world and here's how I talk about it. And maybe somebody else driving in their car is like, wow, I just wrote an essay about that, or I just texted my friend about that. And we all have the same thoughts, but the way that we translate them are different. And so when I make music, I think it's to try to connect to people, and hopefully it resonates.
Yeah, it's a perfect segue into my next question, actually, because tonight's show, Glam Cage, you emphasized a lot on social media how you really want people to come together and connect and just, have fun and forget about everything else for a little bit. So, where did this idea come from? And did you have a certain vision behind it?
I think, yeah, I had a very specific vision. I think I knew like the more that I get into music and trying to find that purpose, the more what stuck out to me about the shows that I played and what I wanted to make music for was the community that's built around it.
Mm.
And I wanted to contribute to and provide another space for young people to come and be themselves. I think that right now, especially with how things are going in life and in the world, art and expression and identity are very, very important. And to be able to go to a place where you're loud and proud and joyful and excited is always necessary, especially in Boston, especially in, all places around the nation and in the world. Um, and I think also something that I was very adamant about was being able to find a place that was 18 plus, because I wanted to make it more accessible to students. Because as somebody who is working on getting their bachelor's in Boston, I spend a lot of time with people that are under the legal drinking age that are looking for somewhere to go.
Mhm.
And so I wanted to contribute to a space where young students, young people can be themselves, meet new people, feel like they can thrive, because I think especially at this age that's so important.
Yeah, absolutely. And your most recent single, He Belongs to Me, first time I heard it, it was just very striking. It had a very strong identity. So I was wondering what sparked that song.
This song the He Belongs to Me is about like desire to the max. I think that a lot of the music that I write can sometimes be almost very literal, can be very like over the top satirical. And I with He Belongs to Me, it's about being all consumed by just your desire and want and
Mhm.
yearning and aching for another person. But I think that a lot of the times with music, I hear that and it's like, I want this person to take me over, and I want to, be the subject of your affection. And I wanted to write a song that was like, I want to stake my claim in you. I want to put my flag inside of
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
So it is about desire, it's about carnal want, but on its head a little bit, I would
Mhm.
like to think.
Yeah. And looking ahead, is there anything particular in music that fans can expect next? Any upcoming projects or releases that you're excited about?
I my well, I haven't told anybody this yet, but I
Oh.
do. My next single is set to come out in November. It's called Pollyanna Cowgirl.
Ooh, you
Um,
heard it here, folks.
if yeah, if you come to the show tonight, or maybe the ones in the future, you'll hear it there. Um, yeah, I have a single coming out. I have an EP coming out. We're working on an album. So lots of stuff in store for
Awesome.
sure in the
Super
near
excited for
future.
you.
Thank you.
So, when you're writing, do you tend to start with lyrics or are you more of a melody first kind of a person or production? What's your process like?
I think it can definitely vary, and I think that you can tell in my writing which is which sometimes. I
Mhm.
find that the most like raw and honest and true to me way that I write, like if I'm just gonna like go and get in a room, is I tend to write in either like my phone or in my journal, or somewhere in between, things throughout the week and days and hours of like this idea of this thing, or oh, I heard that, so my friend said that's so funny. And I have all these little bits that I collect.
Mhm.
And then I'll usually lock myself in a room with a piano and I'll like write out in a list, in like a laundry list of, I think I could show you. I
Yeah.
have like a laundry list in my journal of like ideas of things, and then I set my journal up to the piano, and then I just bang out chords, and I record on a voice memo,
Mhm.
and I just try to like Frankenstein together and like sew together all of the little bits and pieces and try to make something coherent come out of it. That's like kind of honestly how I write music most of
No,
the
honestly, I
time.
feel like the messier the better
Yeah.
sometimes, you know?
It's very fun. It's like trying to figure out how I'm going to make this thing rhyme with this thing, and like what do these two things have to do in common. That's how I wrote Pollyanna, actually.
Hmm.
Pollyanna was like over the last year of just like little things that I had read or heard or seen or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I found my favorite ones and I wrote them in a laundry list and I put it on the piano.
Yeah. Hey, if it makes sense to you, that's all that matters, you
Yeah.
know?
Yes.
Um, is there a song of yours that feels the most personal to you? Or, one that you were nervous to put out there or most excited to put out there?
I'm pretty excited to put all of it out, to be honest.
Hmm.
I have like been hoarding music for the last like 5 years. And so I'm just very excited to put it all out. And I think that it also showcases like a very specific trajectory of my writing, which I think is also interesting. I think that when I was younger, I wrote a lot of music that was based on kind of hypotheticals
Mm,
or a theme or an idea of heartbreak or of love or of lust, and what's the story that I can create in my mind about that. And I think as I've gotten older, I have become more honest and music has become more personal, but I don't think that anything that I write will ever be 100% of the truth,
right.
if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Like,
it's almost kind of like you're speaking back to your younger self and kind
yeah.
of answering all these questions that your younger self might have had.
Yeah, I kind of see it like I'm like I like to think that I'm storytelling, and whether I'm telling my own story or I'm telling a story I made up, like
Yeah,
it's more about, like I said earlier, about how it translates to a listener.
right.
It's about a theme. Like when you read a book or when you watch a movie, it's not always based on a real thing, but the emotion that it evokes out of you or the things that they say are really, I think, what matters the most. And I view
Yeah,
music and songwriting the same way.
absolutely, absolutely. And my last question for you is outside of music, is there anything in particular that inspires your artistry? Whether it's fashion or films or relationships, anything of that sort?
Yeah, I mean, I think everything influences me and what I do. I think that's the whole point of art. Is art is
Yeah.
like what you experience in the world gets put out in a certain medium. I'm very inspired by fashion. I love clothes. I love John Galliano. I love Vivienne Westwood. In terms of film, like I like quirky films. I like campy films. I like cartoons. I love a good
Hmm.
cartoon, and I'm very,
What are
very
some of your favorite
judgmental.
cartoons?
Oh God, I don't even. I think. What are some of my favorite cartoons? Um, I really, I could not tell you off the top of my head if I'm being honest.
That's okay.
I'm a good judge. I like children's media a lot, though. This is kind of a side tangent, but
Hmm.
to be honest, I love children's media because I like to see what they're feeding our kids' minds.
Real.
So, and if I can watch it and like it, then it's good enough for a kid to watch.
Yeah.
But no child should be watching something that's like rotting in
Yeah,
their brains.
100%.
So that's why I love
Yeah.
cartoons.
Those are all the questions that I had for you today, but is there
Amazing.
anything you wanted to add?
Um, Come to the next Glam Cage show. Boston, I'm coming for you, one day at a time. Los Angeles, I'll see you so soon. I'll be home to you soon.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you so
Thank you so
much.
much.